thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure.
So, first off, you were fantastic in the movie, which is not a surprise. I'm really curious how your approach is different when you're going for an established character in some form, such as Santa, or your Marvel character, rather than creating a whole new character, such as Hopper from Stranger Things, and reprising it over and over.
That's a very good question. There is clearly what you want to do is have a bit of the expected model and then deviate from that. So it was important to me, even when we started to develop the look and things like that, it was important that it was a journey towards the end where he becomes his individual self. But that at the beginning of the movie, I was very adamant about him being the Coca-Cola Santa that we've seen from the 1930 ads throughout history. That he was this type with the jolly belly and the curly beard and the glasses and the like white gloves. And, I wanted him to be that trope. And I wanted the trope itself to actually exist beyond even his intention. That he got trapped in this version of himself, which, you can feel a little bit as an actor, that people sort of define you as how they view you as opposed to who you are. And that was something that Santa has had his whole life. I mean, he might be the most famous man in the universe. You bring up Santa and everyone has an image in their mind of who this guy is. So that was important to start there and then to deviate and to figure out who he actually is within that.
Yeah. And then when you see the pitch for this movie, what was your initial reaction and what was it like seeing the trailer release and seeing how the fans reacted to it? I mean, people really were excited and loved it.
Yeah, I initially, when they brought this to me, I was confused and didn't understand it and didn't think it was a good idea. And then and then I met the director and the producer, and they were all so passionate about it, and they're all very smart people. And I read the script and I got, kind of choked up. It's a beautiful story. Amidst this comedy action thing, at the end of the story, it's a Christmas movie. It's a heartfelt Christmas movie about the spirit of Christmas. And there was something so unique about that I thought, oh, this could be wonderful if we don't, or it could be horrible. So I like that risk. I like that risk because it means it's a high bar and we really have to go for it. And then when I saw the trailer all put together, I was like, wow, this is really special. It's unexpected, it's unique, it's strange. There will be people that hate it, but but it's to me, it's a really special, fun movie, and I was very, very pleased with how it turned out.
And what was it like mixing these genres with the whole Christmas and holiday aspect of everything? I mean, that's such an interesting and fun combination.
Yeah, I think that you're right. It was just wildly unique. I'd never seen anything like it before. I've seen a lot of Christmas movies and I've seen a lot of action movies, action comedies, but I've never seen those two things put together. But in my mind, the producers, 87 North, are so good at the action and the action comedy. John Wick, Nobody, all these movies. And the script was so smart and weird in its comedy that I really kept focusing on grounding it as a Christmas movie. And I kept coming back to, as these guys want to do all this crazy stuff, I kept going back to, we need to care about this guy and this relationship with this little girl. And that needs to be the heart of the movie, because otherwise all this action is meaningless. But if he's fighting to save her life, if he's becoming the man he used to be because he needs to invest more in a nice and a naughty concept because he needs to save this little girl, that's funny, and and then we'll feel something. But if he's just a badass Santa fighting it, it has no meaning. So I kept coming back to, it's a Christmas movie. It's a Christmas movie.
Is there a message or a personal takeaway you got from the film? I mean, you kind of touched on there is meaning hidden in everything.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I really like this idea that, there's a lot of, it's hard to boil it down to one message because there's a lot of different messages. But one of the things I like about his particular character arc is that he he is a version of himself that people think he is. And the reason why he's got there is because he thinks that the dark things about him, he wanted to discard, to become just like a nice guy who gives presents to little kids. And I think that he's encouraged by this young girl to take some of those demons that he had and to use them for good, because we need warriors now. We don't need sweet old fat men delivering presents because we're in a dangerous environment. We need a warrior. And I think that is a very interesting message. It's like these things that you don't like about yourself that you discard. Sometimes those things are the greatest things about you when tweaked in a different way. And so I always like that message. I think it's a very good one to remind people of.
And I'm curious, it's one thing when you're filming a film, but I think it's so interesting to see it translate on screen. So is there a scene that you were most excited to see come to life?
There's a fight that happens around a pool table like early on, and I kill this guy with some Christmas ornaments. And I remember when we were shooting it, there were several sequences in there, just little shots that we picked up later on too, things that we didn't think we were going to shoot, but then we were like, oh, we're set up, let's try this, and we had a blast. We laughed a lot during the shooting of some of those things. There was some wild, silly stuff that we did, so I was very eager to see how that turned out. And it's cool. I saw it. It's really cool. It's really funny.
What was it like doing those sequences?
The fight sequences, some of them were easier than others, but in general, they're pretty tough and pretty taxing physically, and you got to get a lot of elements right on that particular day, and that stuff's really hard. I'm not, I didn't come up trained to be a stunt fighter guy. I don't sell it as well as other guys do. I'm more of an actor. So that stuff was really hard and difficult to shoot. That was probably the hardest stuff in the whole movie to execute well.
You do fantastic. And this is not your first experience with that sort of stuff.
No, it's not my first rodeo at this point. No.
You're a pro at it.
Yeah, it's true. I've gotten better and better.
And I imagine, when you're shooting a movie like this, you have a lot of favorite or fun memories that you could kind of look back on. Do you have one that stands out to you right now?
The the whole thing was sort of, projects are so different, each of them, and movies are always hard because you don't realize, you think it's a party, but it's cold, it's nighttime, you're in the middle of nowhere, you miss your family, you're getting horrible takeout food and just sitting alone in a hotel room and then going and shooting 16 hours a day. But this was kind of a joyous movie, and I think part of it was that it was, we didn't have a lot of people watching over us. We were just kind of out there doing our thing and having a good time. And the group of people, Tommy's a real special director, the producers were real special people, really creative, spontaneous, kind, generous. And then the whole team we got up there, Leah and Leguizamo, and Beverly D'Angelo, and all these people they were just fun, and they were game for this wild, wild movie. And it felt like a really nice experience. So it's hard to define even one particular experience, because there were so many where I had a day where I wound up starting out the day really grumpy because it was 10 below and it was dark out all the time. And I'd come to set, and then by the end of the day, I was just having a blast with people. So it was a special movie in that way.
David, thank you so much for talking to me. Like I said, I'm a fan. I'm literally on vacation and woke up 5 a.m. just to speak to you today. It's really a pleasure. So thank you so much. I can't wait for everyone else to see this movie, and I hope to speak again soon.
Oh, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Professional artists and professors, maybe a nerd who's just like you, talking about the things that you like too. So I invite you to the NOC.